Sound check 1, sound check 1, AFNA, January 15th, sound check 1.
My own mic is on. Hey, welcome. So today is the 15th of January, 2026. Welcome to Audit, Finance, and Administration. My name is Jeff Beattie. I am the incoming chair of the committee, and what a day to start chairing this committee. So, notwithstanding the interesting agenda items, we also have a curveball from Mother Nature, which has pushed us to pivot to a virtual surroundings. So we're going to muddle through as best we can. I say muddle. I know that we're all professionals and we will do our very best. And I encourage everybody to maintain patience, be respectful, and carry on as best we can. Give a little extra time for some of these processes to take place, as we will be doing a little more in the back end, Elsie Bates and myself, to ensure a smooth meeting. I see all of you online. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you're nice and cozy and warm, and we're going to carry on. What I'd like to begin is by reminding everyone, even though you're in your own personal spaces, you turn your devices to a non-audible function, just so you don't distract yourself or me. Okay, so because we are doing this virtually, we are obviously not using the in-house speakers list population system that we've started using this week. So I believe Elsie Bates has enabled the eScribe again. So we'll go back to that format using eScribe to please indicate if you'd like to be on the speakers list. And Sal, I believe, is floating in the background. He will be assisting to ensure that everybody gets populated onto that.
That is correct, Councillor.
Thank you, Sal. Should your function not work, maybe an indication in WebEx using the raise hand function, the little icon there is always helpful. I've got a good view of everybody on the screen here, and I know Sal and Elsie Bates as well. So let's try to use those functions as best we can to get onto the speakers list. Okay, let's start then. It is 9:33. We technically started on time at 9:30. We have quorum present and we are underway. If I could, please, first make note of the fact I'd like to move up the confidential agenda item to be directly after. I have to work my way through this. Apologies, folks. So the confidential appendix B to item 8.2, I'd like to move that forward so that we have continuous flow when we get to that portion of the debate, that we don't have to wait to go in camera, we'll go directly in camera. So that's a change I'd like to make to the agenda. So if I could have a mover and seconder to approve the agenda as amended. I'm seeing Councillor Pauls and Councillor Taddison. Thank you. Please indicate your vote now. Because this is a change to the agenda, this will be an electronic eScribe vote.
No, I'm sorry, it is a show of hands.
My apologies, off to a poor start. Okay, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest from members? And seeing none, we are moving on to the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. These are the minutes from December 4th, 2025. If I could have a mover and seconder to adopt the minutes of the December 4th, 2025 meeting, seeing Councillor Kretsch, seconded by Councillor Wang. Thank you. Any discussion? And seeing none, please indicate your vote by a show of hands, please. And that is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, so we're moving on to delegations, which is item 6 on the agenda. Members are reminded that questions of delegates are for clarification purposes only and not for debate. Despite the order of the delegations on the agenda, we will hear Well, we would normally hear the in-person delegates first, but we're not going to do that because everybody will be virtual today. So with that, we will go right to 6.1. From Waterdown Collision, Tony, respecting water and meter installation and water bill at 3 Dobbin Drive, Waterdown. If you're available, Tony, I'd ask you to turn on your microphone and camera. There you are, Tony. Welcome. Just a reminder, you've got 5 minutes, Tony. There will be a ding, I hope, at the 4-minute mark. Elsie?
Sorry, Counselor, can you just pause there for a second? I have someone on the call who's called guest. Can you please identify yourself?
Hello, it's Matthew Alter. I'm external legal counsel at Castles. I was asked to join the meeting to speak to the or to be present during. I think
Matthew,
it's.
yes, Matthew, I have you, and I can see your name is in your tile, but I have
Oh,
someone
I
else who's
see.
joined the meeting.
Yes, I can introduce, and I had just responded. My apologies. I had just responded to Tamara. That is Emily DeBrado. Emily is the associate in my group team who worked with us on the opinion and assistance to the auditor for the external advice.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I will amend Emily's name. And I also see someone called John P. Demick. Can you please advise?
I'm listening in on behalf of Waterdown Collision as well.
Okay,
I don't plan on speaking, but
okay, please do not, we cannot have people listening in. If you'd like to listen into the meeting, I will need you to leave the WebEx and watch the proceedings online, either on the city's website or on the YouTube channel, please.
okay, fair enough.
Thank you.
Okay. Elsie Bates, we're all good now?
Yes, thank you,
Properly
Councillor.
identified. Tony, sorry for the mild interruption. Elsie, just confirming we still have the tone in the background that will sound at the 4 and 5 minute mark?
We have it here, but the delegate will not hear that.
Okay. I'm just trying to work out the minutia of how I know what their timing is like from here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I still have someone in the meeting whose name is guest. Matthew, I did find Emily. She's there with under her own name, but there's someone whose screen name is guest, and I need to know who you are, or I'm going to eject you. Okay, I'm going to eject that person.
Okay, so as soon as we figure out how we're going to do the timing on this, how will I be notified of the countdown clock here? I do not have one.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we will set the timer here, so we'll hear the 1 minute mark in the room, and perhaps can let the delegate know in the chat, or just announce that it's 1 minute.
Very well. Thank you so much, Elsie. Tony, sorry for all of the confusion here as we work this out. So I will pop on at the 4 minute mark to let you know you're at 4 minutes with 1 minute remaining, and then at the 5 minute mark, if you haven't concluded, I'll pop in just to give you a little soft nudge to wrap it up, if that's fair. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, Tony. You may begin at any time.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair. As you know, my name is Tony D. Pascal. I'm the project manager for the construction of Waterdown Collision's brand new building. And joining me this morning and hopefully online is another colleague of ours, a member of our team, Jeff Diffie, president of ARC Management. He is our real estate client representative. Waterdown Collision's been in business over 51 years. It's a privately family-owned business. Waterdown's existing location at 24 Dundas Street has been expropriated by the Ministry of Transport. And as such, we had to commence construction of a new building, which started in May of 2025. We are currently 35% completion. Substantial completion is estimated for August of this year, 2026. We are here today to request your assistance with respect to the installation of a water meter. And so in this regard, Jeff, if you are online, I'll turn it over to you, sir, to kind of explain the situation and our request. Jeff, are you there?
I am. Good morning. So at this time right now, we have a water meter that's been installed during our construction process, and obviously are accruing fees on that water meter that are not required at this time. And we would ask that the water meter be removed, and that we could have the fees and the charges stopped at December 1st. Right now, we are not using the water on site. We completed the work inside of the space, and did not understand that the water meter had to be installed, or that was going to be installed, and did not understand the fees and the charges that were actually presented. When we received our bill. At this time, we were just asking that it be removed, and that we have everything stayed back until December 1st. We have not used any water throughout December or January so far. We had a $14 fee at the very, very beginning of the process when we didn't understand what was happening. And that's as far as we got. But then obviously we had the water meter fees and the fees that came along with the water meter that calculated up to about $2,000 for that 1 month. We are currently going through a redesign of the system because we found out that the size of the water meter is not actually required for the building. And we are needing to have that redesigned, and we are having our civil engineers have that discussion with the City of Hamilton right now, building department and engineering department, and hope to have that work started in March, late March. And so we are just asking that the water meter be removed and that the fees be allocated back to December 1st.
So, Jeff, thank you. And I just wanted to add, it's Tony again. I just wanted to add additional color. Um, when the meter was actually installed, unfortunately, there wasn't any prior consultation, discussion, advance notice of any kind as to Waterdown's collisions needs, as to the size of meter, and when would be the appropriate time for installation. And so, as you can appreciate, when we started construction in May, we did not request, nor was there a need for any water. And to this point, we've only used really like $14 worth of water. And going forward, there is no need for water through to substantial completion, which again is scheduled for July of this year. So we are asking council for some assistance to disconnect and remove the water meter effective December 1st, 25, with obviously the intent to reconnect with the new redesign as soon as we reach substantial completion, which is, again, July of this year. So, in short, we are asking Waterdown Collision, which employs 50 people at present, and going up to as much as 75 folks with the construction of our new building over the next 2 to 3 years. We are asking council for some assistance as outlined by Jeff. Anything extra, Jeff, that you wanted to share with the folks?
You've
No,
got 44 seconds, gents.
No,
that's
I think that's, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, that's pretty much everything that we wanted to share with the team.
Okay. Thank you very much. I now have a way to track time here. I've got that resolved in-house, which will be very, very handy when we actually get into some further agenda items, I'm sure. I'm looking to committee to see if there are questions of the delegate. I see first, Councillor Taddison, please.
Gentlemen, excuse me for this question. When I was reading over the materials, I thought it was just to be disconnected, not removed. But in the delegation, I thought I heard that you want the meter actually removed. Can you clarify?
Our understanding right now is that even though it would be disconnected, which we can do on site, which we disconnect, right? It has to be removed so that there would be no option for siphoning water through the system. So in other words, it would have to be severed, and we would have to go back through and do a rechlorination on the line when it's ready to go back through. So right now, in order to have the meter removed, it means that the fees would no longer proceed. If the meter's on site and is installed, not just disconnected, we would still incur the fees.
So you would be handling all the fees for removal and reinstallation.
That is, yes, the fees for the reinstall and what have you would be under us for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. No more questions.
Thank you, Councillor Toddison. Moving on now on to Councillor Tammy Huang, please.
Thank you. Just a quick question around if you were to remove the meter, what in your whole construction process, there's no need for water at all?
Not right now. No, we have totes that come in, and we are already completed majority of the water program for the masonry work, and the next phase would only be for drywall, and then after substantial completion. And we are using totes and commercial water systems that are coming in via water tanks.
And just through you, Chair, just a question around in case of fire, so these totes would still be enough to help with any fire mitigation or anything like that?
There are fire hydrants on the street at this current time, and no requirements on the property.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Those are all my questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Huang. Up next is Councillor Brad Clark, please.
So my understanding is 150 millimeter meter, minimum size meter required to support fire service. So do you have sprinklers in the business?
We do have sprinklers. They are not installed as of yet.
And when will the sprinklers be installed?
Probably not till late April, probably into, it'd be probably commissioned probably around the June, July mark.
Thank you.
Okay, giving a final scan on the big board here to see if anybody else has some questions. Speakers list is empty. Seeing none, thank you very much, Tony and Jeff, for your delegation. You can turn off your cameras now and exit. Nope, we're not exiting. We're staying put. All right. So on to 6.1A, which is PW 26019, which is the a memo from staff regarding the water billing dispute delegation that we've just heard. So I'm going to look to committee members if there are questions for staff on the memo. And I'm recognizing Councillor Clark, and I will turn on your microphone in-house here, sir. Please proceed.
Thank you. So is staff present to speak to the memo?
Yes, I believe they are. And it looks like GM Kennedy, are you taking the question from Councillor Clark?
Good morning. I'm online and available, as well as Director Shane McCauley is also available to respond to questions about this.
Got you. Okay, I'm running out of
Thank
space
you.
on the big screen here. So I'm looking for Director McCauley. Oh, there he is. Okay. Go ahead, Director. It looks like Councillor Clark has a question for you. Please proceed.
So I'm trying to understand in the memo, it looks like staff do not support the proposal. Is that correct? The request?
Director?
Can't hear him.
You're going to have to turn on your mic there, Shane.
Hear me now?
Yep.
Sorry. Through the chair to Councillor Clark, that is correct.
And can you explain the rationale, please?
Yes. So through the chair, according to the Waterworks bylaw, every service is required to be metered. According to the billing policy bylaw, Under industrial, commercial, and institutional developments, water billing is to commence once the water is turned on. It has absolutely nothing to do with whether there is a meter installed or not. If there is no meter installed, then it is billed based on a flat rate. And for a 150 millimeter water meter service size that should be there, that would be 36 cubic meters per day, or approximately $4,600 per month as the flat rate if there is no meter installed. If the meter is installed, then they pay for the flat rate of the meter, which is about $1,600 a month, and any consumption. So they are actually better off to have the service metered according to our bylaw, because there is no provision to have a service connected to the system without it being metered or billed, whether or not a meter has been installed.
So they have to have the meter to have access to the water. If they put the meter in, it's actually less expensive than to not have the meter in.
That is correct, through the chair.
Are they permitted not to have a meter?
Through the chair, the bylaw says they have to have a meter. If they do not put a meter in, then they will be billed a flat rate, because we can't, based on actual consumption. And that flat rate for that size of service is 36 cubic meters per day, which equals about $4,600 per month is what they would be billed if they had not installed the meter.
And was the developer informed of this situation? They know that what the charges would be without the meter versus with the meter?
Through the chair, I'm not sure what conversations have taken place, but these are in our policies and in the bylaws.
Looks like it's better to keep the meter in from my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. I have Councillor Kretsch up next, please.
Thanks. Very briefly, just wanted to address the paragraph here in the information section of the report that says, just because I know that the folks who delegated had spoken to, there not being kind of any knowledge that there would be water meters installed. It says here if a 150 millimeter water meter was installed with the meter type and size specified in the permit purchased by the property owner. As per the approved site drawings, the meter was installed in a meter chamber at the property line. Can you explain that a little bit, Director McCall, if you don't mind?
Absolutely, through the chair. So water meters are sized based on an American Water Works standard. And because this particular property has what's called a combined fire domestic service, so it's the one service provides water supply for both their domestic use, toilets, sinks, that sort of stuff, as well as their fire system. And I believe there is a single fire hydrant online or on this property. Minimum standard meter size for fire suppression is 150 millimeter meter. You can't go any smaller than that to be adequate for fire suppression. So that was designed by the developer and based on standards.
Thanks. And this maybe is a very basic point, but I think what you said earlier was this property was hooked up to the water system. So that's the basis by which a meter was applied to this. If there was nothing hooked up to the water system, there'd be no need to meter anything. But that action took place. And then when that action took place, the city responds by, according to our policies, applying a meter. So I really don't see the issue here from my perspective. And I think this is completely in line with our policies and seems to be meeting some health and safety requirements. So I'm supportive of leaving things just as they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kretsch. Giving a one-time scan to see if there are any additional questions of members. And seeing none. Thank you to the delegates. I know they've been watching online. I'm going to ask you now if you would exit WebEx, and you can watch the remainder of the meeting, if you so choose, through our online portal or YouTube. Moving on to 6.2, which has been withdrawn. This is with regards to a DC credit extension, which means we're moving on now to 6.3, Michelle McDonald, respecting Ontario Works operations of the city and how a value for money audit would provide the public information to restore confidence and transparency and accountability to City Hall. I'd like to call upon Michelle to turn on her mic. Oh, I see you there. Mic and camera. Michelle, welcome. So
Thank you.
if you've been following along at all, you have 5 minutes to bring your delegation. At the 1 minute mark, somewhere in around there, you may hear a tone in the background that indicates you have a minute left. And then at the 5 minute mark, if you're still delegating, I'll have to kind of prompt you to wrap it up in some way, okay? And then we'll have questions
Certainly.
from committee members, okay? Go
Thank
ahead
you.
when you're ready.
Hey, good morning, Chair and committee members. My name is Michelle McDonald. I'm here today because the city has failed in its responsibility to properly manage the Ontario Works program, and that failure has directly cost taxpayers money while undermining public trust. Hamilton is the service delivery manager for Ontario Works. That role comes with clear responsibilities to ensure that benefits are issued accurately, verified properly, and to protect from fraud and misuse. What I experienced shows that this city does not have adequate controls, verification processes, or accountability mechanisms in place, or even escalated matters to the police or prosecutor, which is ministry policy. I'm here today because it took escalation to the Auditor General of Hamilton from several residents requesting a value for money audit on Ontario Works eligibility and fraud because these issues were acknowledged by the city manager's office. That alone speaks volumes that the city manager office and GM of Health and Safe Communities failed its oversight as city delivery manager. I want to briefly share a real experience that demonstrated these failures. I have been a landlord of 8 homes for over 30 years. I rented a single unit to a single mother on Ontario Works with 2 young children. She wanted to move out of the downtown core to a safer area. Her credit was weak, but I believed in giving her a chance to stabilize her life. Over time, her boyfriend, recently released from jail, moved into the unit without being on the lease. From that point on, the situation deteriorated. There were repeated disturbances, reports of verbal abuse directed at a young child, children's aid involvement, and serious property damage, including many holes in the walls, interconnected smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, intentionally disconnected and missing at $220 per unit. After following all legal landlord and tenant landlord and tenant board processes, and giving additional time to the children so the children could finish school, the family moved out of province. Despite this, I continued receiving Ontario Works mail addressed to the tenant's boyfriend in another apartment I actually resided in the duplex. Someone who was never a tenant, never on a lease, and should have never been associated with my property. I contacted the city to advise that this individual had moved out of the province. I was not seeking confidential information. I was trying to stop improper overpayments. City staff refused to accept the information, citing privacy. I returned the mail, marked return to sender, and wrote on the envelope the information that he was never a tenant, the town and the province that they had moved to. The mail continued for 9 months, 9 months of overpayments, never to be recovered. Our hard earned tax dollars given away fraudulently. More than a year later, the city contacted me asking for information about the same individual and said they were investigating. By that point, the taxpayer funded benefits were long gone. This experience exposed serious failures by the city. No one ever contacted me to verify whether the lease being issued to Ontario Works Benefits was valid, what the rental amount was, or who actually lived in the unit. Odd, because I'm the owner and the city has my number on file. I discovered multiple individuals were able to claim Ontario Works using my address without ever being tenants and without any verification. When credible information about potential fraud was provided, the city refused to receive it and failed to act in a timely manner. This is not about blaming vulnerable families. It's about the city failing to protect public funds and failing to administer a critical program responsibility. Council continues to hear about pressures on the tax roll, yet weak oversight allows fraud and waste to continue. Residents are being asked to pay more while basic controls protect taxpayer dollars are missing. So I asked the committee, why were there no basic residency or lease verifications before benefits are approved? Why are landlords not contacted when multiple Ontario Works claims are tied to one address? Why does the city delay action until problems are escalated externally? Why haven't any cases been escalated to the police for investigation, given that it's ministry policy? How much money has been lost because of these failures? I'm done carrying the cost of mismanagement with the Barton Tiffany audit. It is clear that the city has fiscal control and mismanagement. I am selling my last property in the city of Hamilton and will no longer be a taxpayer in this city because of the lack of transparency, accountability, and effective oversight. How can you promote business and invest in the city when City Hall operates like this? It's
So,
simply
Michelle,
not sustainable as a landlord providing housing.
we are just at the 5-minute mark. If you've just got to wait to wrap up, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
One more. I hope my experience makes clear why the thorough value for money audit is essential to restoring confidence in the city hall. Fraud and waste hurts taxpayers, but they also hurt the people who genuinely need it and depend on Ontario Works. 80% of taxpayers do not trust City Hall. I'm one of them. The voters will share their voice in October at the ballot box. If you want to solve this issue, I hope the committee takes action immediately and swiftly. For me, it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate your delegation. And I'm looking now to see if there are any questions from committee. I'm going to recognize Councillor Mike Spatafor, who's joined us in chambers. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And Michelle, thank you for your delegation today. I'm going to ask you a question. You may or may not have any more information, but landlords often have other landlords that whether they work with each other, have friendships or contact, part of a group. So I wanted to ask you, obviously your experience, have you had any conversation with other landlords in the city that have faced similar issues with non-tenant individuals that are getting mail sent to an address they've never lived at? And if you don't know that, I just wanted to ask through you, Chair.
Certainly, through the chair. Yes, I am part of a landlord group. There are many that have actually left the business, such as I have. That's why I no longer spend any winters in Ontario. I haven't since 2020. We're just leaving because it's not sustainable. The costs are rising, and they're now all investing in the States and Panama. It's just not feasible as a business plan. I don't know if that answers your question.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm doing a quick scan to see if anybody else has a question. I see Councillor Pauls, please.
Thank you, Michelle. We will ask questions to staff later because I would like to know how the service delivery manager, how many we have, and how it really works. I'm not sure because I'd like to know that information. But you said something that really struck home. You said that by doing, we are really hurting the vulnerable families, the ones that really need it. And so I really appreciate it. It's saddened that you are selling your last. Is it an apartment you have or a house?
It's a duplex.
A duplex. So we are sorry that you are leaving and you experienced that. So we will be asking staff a few questions to make sure, because I think as you spoke, and as you are part of a group really that is concerned about the vulnerable people, I think we have to really look at this, how our value for money is spent. And so I do appreciate you coming, and we will be asking staff a few questions. So I just want you to know that. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councillor Paul. So I will look to committee to see if there are any further questions of the delegate. And then after that, if you wanted to ask a question of staff, provided that there are staff available, I can't guarantee that there are, but should there be available online, Councillor Paul, you'd be free to ask your question then. So another quick scan to see if anybody else has a question of the delegate. Seeing none, thank you, Michelle, for joining us today. Councillor Pauls, if you had a question that you wanted to ask as it pertains to the subject matter, we can see if there's somebody online that's able to answer a question that would pertain to OW. And I do see General Manager Grace Mader has joined us. Thank you for joining us here today, General Manager Mader. Councillor Pauls, please proceed.
Thank you, and thank you, Manager. I just wanted to ask, how is our service delivery manager? How many people do we have under OW here in Hamilton that we hire to make sure the service is delivered and it's running well?
Through the chair, good morning. Grace Mader, General Manager, Healthy and Safe Communities. I'm joined here this morning by Stu Boomer, our Director of Ontario Works. So, Councillor, that he can give you some of those specifics. Just to let the committee know, though, that Stu and I did meet, or Director Boomer and I did meet with Michelle and another one of the members of her group, and that about their concerns. Much of their concerns lies in the payment of rent. We do know the challenge for everyone in receipt of social assistance, that very often it's challenging about what you can afford to pay because of the limited amount of money that they do receive on the shelter component of it. So with that, though, I'll give Stu can talk about a little bit about the number of people that we have as case managers, also the number of cases. I can also tell you, Councillor, too, though, that over the last, I think, 2 years in that, we've had an increase of almost 25% on our caseload. So it is, it aligns with what we're experiencing, you know, with the number of homeless individuals also increasing. So they're all part and parcel of the same challenge. So with that, I'll turn it over to Director Boomer.
Director Boomer.
Thank you. And through the chair to Councillor Paul's questions. I'll start off maybe at the caseload level and talk a little bit about case management, and then work my way down to our verification team, and that has responsibilities for overpayment review, investigation of complaints, as well as collection of overpayments that are established. So currently our caseload is approximately 13,100 cases. So that's individual households that are in receipt of assistance that provides service to approximately 22,000 individuals across the city, and that's a noted increase, as General Manager Mader indicated, since 2024 of approximately 25%. We have just over 100 case managers, as well as some senior workers that handle smaller caseloads for more complex client situations. They have average caseloads roughly of 150 households that they're serving each on our general caseloads. We have an eligibility verification team, consists of a supervisor and 14 staff in a couple of different roles. We have eligibility review officers. We also have overpayment recovery officers. And we have some support to that, and eligibility verification case managers who do various verification activities. Approximately 3% of our caseload is flagged provincially on a bi-monthly basis when there are any potential anomalies in their situation, and we review those files accordingly. We also have referrals both internally and from the public, and through the Auditor General's office and through the provincial fraud hotline for eligibility review situations that we need to look into. In 2025, we completed just under 1,500 eligibility reviews on cases due to potential anomalies. Those can result typically in administrative actions taken to impact the individual's eligibility, including a change to their eligibility that can be retroactive if that's warranted. It also can result in the creation of overpayments and the collection of overpayments. The team's also quite active in recovering funds when people may be receiving overlapping benefits, such as being maybe retroactively granted employment insurance while they were receiving Ontario Works, and we would then seek reimbursement for that, or if they were subsequently approved for other benefits through WSIB or other channels, where we would then seek reimbursement. So on a monthly basis, we recover approximately $400,000 in overpayments, recoveries, and repayments from various sources, and that verification team is responsible for those activities. As GM Mader noted, living arrangements are very challenging for many of our clients based on the amount of assistance that we provide. The landlord-tenant relationship between individuals who may be receiving Ontario Works or ODSP or other benefits is that landlord-tenant relationship still is between the landlord and the tenant. And while we hear about some difficult situations often, and we do receive information that we follow up on, the mechanisms and the recourses that landlords have to deal with those issues and work with their tenants rest between the landlord and the tenant. If there's information that comes to light from a landlord or another third party that results in a potential requirement to look into someone's eligibility, that could impact their eligibility for the program and for the funds that the provincial funds that they received through the program. But we wouldn't be involved in the legal matter or the financial matter between the landlord and the tenant. If overpayments are levied and money is due back to the program, it is collected by our office and returned to the province. The province funds 100% of benefits to clients. Although they're paid through the City of Hamilton, they are reimbursed on a monthly basis by the province, and repayments that are collected are also returned to the province to offset their costs at 100%. So I hope that provides a little bit more information about how our verification activities work and how these types of situations are generally managed following our internal policies as well as provincial directives.
Thank you,
Thank
Director.
you.
Councillor Pauls, just before you proceed, I just want to make note that you are at the end of the speaking time. I know that was a very, very robust answer. If you've
only
got a
asked
quick
one
follow-up,
question.
great. Otherwise, we'll put you on for a second time.
Well, I have one more question, but it might take longer too, so.
Okay, then I'll put you on for a second time then, if that's okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to go now
Yes.
to Councillor Clark, please.
Thank you very much, Chair Beatty. Question to staff then. So on October 15th, 2025, eScribe in our record shows a report that came in from a resident. Their research indicated that as of from January 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2025, no cases of Ontario Works fraud has ever been escalated to the Hamilton Police by the Ontario Works Office. Is that an accurate statement?
Okay, who wants to take this one? Is it General Manager Mader for the response?
I'll start and then I'll turn to Stu. So through the chair, good morning, Councillor Clark. On that, the cases that get generated and up to police are of the very egregious amounts. We have been working with police over the years as to what area they would then venture into as far as pursuing that. But I'll turn it over to Stu about the details for the actual numbers.
Okay, Director Boomer.
Thank you, and through the chair to Councillor Clark. We do have a protocol in place that continues to be in place that does provide for the ability of referrals to be made to Hamilton Police Service and the Crown Attorney's Office for consideration. The police also continue to have the authority to take actions independently should concerns be raised and should they so choose. In terms of the delegation that you're referring to, and the information I have available regarding referrals, To my knowledge, I've looked back at information back to 2022. In 2022, there was one referral to police. That previous information released to an individual of the public who was delegating in that regard was in full disclosure incorrect. We indicated we had no referrals to police in 2022, but we are in the process through the clerk's office of clarifying with that individual that we did have one referral to police in 2022. Since that time, we have not made any referrals to police. 2023, 2024, 2025. I can't speak to 2020 and 2021. I can follow up though, however, Councillor. Typically, there are administrative measures within the program, as I've explained, to help determine eligibility, change eligibility, investigate, and determine, establish and collect overpayments. This is the overwhelming choice of service managers across the province and the province itself through the ODSP program in managing program eligibility. Those most egregious cases can be referred forward, as General Mader noted. 2 examples were shared in that delegation regarding referrals to police, and they both involve staff fraud, where staff were either at various other municipalities were either collecting benefits directly themselves through fraudulent means or receiving kickbacks. We have had no such situation of that nature, to my knowledge, here at the city, certainly not since my time here. And a situation of that nature would, of course, be handled very
I have limited
very
time.
seriously.
My question was really a yes or no answer. Did we do it? You've explained that we have not, except for one, and that you found that through a follow-up. Is there a policy that is preventing you from investigating fraud and reporting fraud?
Director?
Through the chair to the councillor, there's not a policy preventing us. As I mentioned, choices are made to manage it within the program on an overwhelming nature versus sending those forward to police for criminal investigation.
But how are you managing it if people are getting overpaid? How are you getting the money back for the taxpayers? Because we now have several groups that have reported concerns about this. We've had landlord groups report concerns about this. Councillors' offices are getting reports about individuals who moved out of the province and sublet their unit, and now they've come back, but there's been no police reports. So I'm trying to understand exactly what the process is.
Director?
Through the chair, there are various ways that overpayments are collected. The most used mechanism is deduction on ongoing benefits. So up to 10% of an individual's ongoing benefits will be deducted from subsequent months to pay back or reimburse the program for any established overpayments. Those overpayments are also portable between service managers, so if they move to other areas or if they move to the ODSP program. We're also in the process of implementing recent changes with the province, whereby when a case closes and there is an established overpayment on the case, that overpayment is established or is transferred to the province for ongoing overpayment collection. That was previously the responsibility of the city. It's now transitioning to be a provincial responsibility, and they have additional tools available to them for overpayment collection, such as tax-based mechanisms where they can collect overpayments from individuals.
I have a question for GM Mader. So GM Mader, what exactly are you doing to get a handle on this?
GM?
So through the chair to the councillor, so we are in the process, though. There is an audit that's actively under Auditor General Brown and his team and we're working with them, and we'll be waiting for any kind of recommendations that comes from that audit. As Director Boomer indicated too, though, we are also aligning with our efforts with other service managers to ensure that we're putting in the best practices as well. So we have been reviewing all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Nothing further. Moving on now to Councillor Spatafora, please.
Thank you, Chair. And my questions for Director Boomer. I was sent some information in regards to overpayments. I believe you and GM Mater would have this information. It's a comparison between Peel Region overpayment recoveries for non-eligibility and the City of Hamilton overpayment. And I'm just trying to understand and hear from our staff the differences. So 2022, 23, and 24, the estimated overpayment recoveries in Peel were 3.2 million, 3.4 million, 3.9 million. And for those same years in the City of Hamilton, it was just over 500,000, just over 400,000, and for 2024, just over 250,000. The other information that was provided is there's 35,000 individuals at a population of 1.8 million in Peel versus the City of Hamilton that has 500,000 and 570,000 population and 23,000 individuals on the program. So can you help me understand why our recoveries are so low and theirs are so high? I just want to understand it because I only hear one side of the story. I'd like to hear an answer from our staff and give you an opportunity to explain that, please, through you, Chair.
Yeah, I believe the question was directed to GM Mater, so we'll start there.
Thanks. Through the councillor, or through the chair to the councillor, that we received that information as well, councillor, and we've been looking into it. The other aspect is that, as Stu indicated, that we have a very robust staff approach to how we're trying to mitigate those overpayments before they happen. We have, and Director Boomer also said, is that we have 13,000 households that are in receipt of assistance at the present time. And as I said, that's been a substantial increase over the last 2 years. So with that, I'll turn it over to Stu for the details.
Through the chair to the councillor, the overpayment amounts indicated, councillor, that in the information that you've received, I would like the opportunity to review because they don't seem to connect with information that I'm aware of. There are different ways to consider overpayments that are recovered versus reimbursements versus repayments. So I would like to take a look further offline with you if that's acceptable, because the numbers reported for the City of Hamilton seem lower than my information. The caseload in Peel is higher than ours, as you've indicated. However, proportionately, the City of Hamilton has had a higher rate of individuals on assistance than Peel Region, and that's been a historic pattern of eligibility and need in the city.
Councillor?
If I can add to Councillor, what we can do is to bring a report back with that detailed and bring it back through the Emergency and Community Services Committee for follow-up for everyone.
Thank you, GM. And that was what I wanted to suggest. I don't want the report coming to me. I think every person around this horseshoe is going to want an answer to that, and just to better understand why our recoveries are not that high. So thank you for that, Chair, and looking forward to the report back.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Spatafora. Moving on next to Councillor Maureen Wilson, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just further to Councillor Spatafora's question.
Pardon me,
Sorry,
Councillor
Wilson, we're just going to interrupt here with a quick update from LC Bates.
Before we move on, I just wanted to, Councillor Spatafora would like a report back to ENCS. Then we would need to put that on the floor as a motion.
Okay, I'll second it because that's easier.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. So I'd like to move that motion, seconded by Councillor Maureen Wilson, that that report on the overpayment comparison between Peel Region and the City of Hamilton, and any other information regarding overpayments, report back to ECS. And I will look to GM Mater for a timeline on when we could expect that.
GM Mater?
Through the chair, we can bring that back in Q2.
Okay. Elsie Bates, we have the motion wording.
Yes, we do. Just give me 2 seconds to call up a vote. Oh,
Okay,
need
in a
electronic vote for
moment,
that.
folks, it'll be up in eScribe. And when that happens, you will be able to indicate your vote electronically, please.
Apologies, it's coming. Vote should be up.
Vote is up now.
Just waiting for Councillors Tattison and Alex Wilson. Councillor Tattison.
Affirmative. I support.
Thank you.
And the motion is carried 10-0. Thank you, colleagues. Okay, if we could reset Councillor Maureen Wilson's clock, please. Councillor Maureen Wilson, you have 5 minutes. Please proceed.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Chair. I just want to make sure I understand the that when it's escalated to Hamilton Police Service. I thought I heard Chair GM Mater say those that get referred to HPS are only the egregious ones. In terms of the amount, could you just clarify the threshold, the amount that determines that, through the chair?
GM Mater?
Through the chair to the councillor, it was more of not so much an amount threshold, councillor. It was more about the whole process about under what circumstances that the overpayment was created. As Director Boomer mentioned, that the ones in Peel that were doing it was they were staff fraud that was found to be it. Generally, the majority of overpayments are caused by a variety of reasons. The movement of from one location to another, the change of marital status or living arrangements, the increase of income that may not have been reported, did not get reported in the right way, and those are generally the way. So I'll ask Stu that if he's got any other insights as to then what might be that threshold, as opposed to it being a number amount.
Director?
Through the chair to the councillor's question, the protocol in place does not indicate a specific threshold, as General Mater indicated. The Hamilton Police Service and the Crown Attorney's Office generally want to see that it's of a significant nature. So certainly, likely at least over $5,000. However, that is not a specific requirement. What is more in consideration is the criminal intention and the nature of the fraud that's being committed.
Councillor Wilson?
Thank you for that. And just further on this this particular pillar, I thought I heard GM Mater say that the Hamilton Police Service has the opportunity, or it's within their realm of legal action to initiate, or the ability to act. On that, though, I'm trusting any action on their part would have to be informed by information received from the city. Could you just clarify that through the chair?
GM Mater?
I'll start through the chair to the councillor. Yeah, absolutely. So what happens is that the staff from Ontario Work staff consult with police about certain cases, and that there is that rapport back and forth for any insights in that, and they help arrive at which one will be escalated and some other mechanisms for handling it in-house. So we do have that consultative process in place.
Okay, so thank you for that. So just going back to my first question then, the deferral, if you will, or the referral to HPS is not based on an amount. It's based on the circumstances that you conclude of your review. Are those circumstances set out in any policy or practice or matrix through the chair?
GM?
I'm going to ask Director Boomer to answer that. He'll have the better insight.
Okay, thank you.
Director Boomer?
Yes, through the chair, there is a protocol in place between Hamilton Police Service, our office, and the Crown Attorney's office that outlines how these cases are handled, how we prepare the information, how it's considered on their end. They make the final decisions about whether charges are going to proceed.
Got it. Thank you.
Councillor, you're at the 1 minute mark here for your question.
Okay, I'll get it. Thank you. I obviously I don't have the same information that Councillor Spadafora shared with you about Peel, but I thought I heard him reference 500,000, 400,000, 250,000. The only number though from staff that I heard in response was the 400,000. I guess my query is our, I think you said our case numbers have gone up substantially in the last number of years. Are you able to shed some light on whether the amount of recovery is gone up, or how do we track that through the chair?
Am I going to GM Mader first and then Director Boomer? Is that appropriate, Director GM?
So through the chair on that, I think that, Councillor, is what Director Boomer indicated is that we'd like to dig into the numbers that were provided in that email correspondence that Councillor Spadafora referenced to bring that back with some further detail as we look at what our actual numbers are. Those were numbers that were based on, that was informed through that correspondence. So I think we'd like the opportunity, and that'll be part of our report back. We'd also like to take the opportunity to do a bit of a jurisdictional scan as well, see how we compare with some of those other municipalities that we use as our competitors that we could include.
Thank you. I think that's good practice, but I guess my query is, are you able to share today the tracking of recovery dollars per annum?
I'll ask Stu to answer that.
Thank you. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Director?
Through the chair to the councillor's question, yes, as GM Major noted, we'd like to dig in further on trends. In terms of 2025, I can confirm the following: recoveries of all sources. So this is where we get into different issues about what we're counting when we're comparing things across service managers, but recoveries of all sources averaged 391,000 per month in 2025 for a total of approximately $4.3 million in recoveries over the 2025 year in benefit payments.
I think I'm at time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If you want to go on a second time, please indicate to Sal. Otherwise, we're going to now proceed back to Councillor Pauls for a second time, please.
Thank you, Chair. And actually, all the questions were asked with the police and all the other issues that I wanted to know. But I just want to say that I want to thank Michelle McDonald, because I've been on audit and finance only 3 months. It's a new committee, and she was so persistent, calling me. She was trying to find help. And I'm so glad that she came and spoke. First of all, I think her motive, even though she lost money, even though her house, her apartments were wrecked and all that, she did it really for the vulnerable people, the people that really should be getting OW, and the people that shouldn't be getting it. So I just want to say thanks to Michelle And I hope when we get the auditor's report, we could solve this problem, make sure we do the right thing. So I just want to thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Seeing no further speakers on the list, I am now going to proceed to our next delegate, item 6.4, Charles Waugh, who is the West End Home Builders Association respecting potential development charges exemptions on a fourth unit, item 9.1. Charles, I see you up there. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can I share my screen?
I believe you can. I'm seeing a nod from the LC. We'll reset the timer for you here, Charles. And then, as I said, you have 5 minutes. I'll try my best to indicate the 4-minute mark, but if not, I'll just have to pop in roughly at the 5-minute mark to let you know that you are at time.
And is my screen up now? Can everyone see my screen?
We are seeing you loud and clear, sir.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of committee, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Charles Waugh. I'm the founder and president of Gateway Group, where we focus on transforming underutilized land and existing homes into attainable multi-unit housing. Today, I am speaking on behalf of the West End Home Builders Association's Missing Middle and Infill Subcommittee, which I chair. The city has been clear that it supports gentle density and better use of existing land. At the same time, the current market conditions, combined with higher interest rates, construction costs, and financing challenges, have made larger projects increasingly unfeasible. As a result, many builders and homeowners are turning to small-scale infill and missing middle projects, which are more viable, faster to complete, and better suited to current policy directions promoting housing diversity and affordability within established neighborhoods. I want to thank Councillor Huang for bringing forward a motion to explore exempting development charges on the fourth unit. I am here today to support that motion and to explain why eliminating the DCs on the fourth unit would be a small policy adjustment, yet have a meaningful impact on enabling gentle densification across Hamilton, particularly fourplexes. Today, the city waives development charges for up to 3 units, but applies full development charges to the fourth unit. While this may sound reasonable in theory, in practice it creates a hard financial cliff. What we're seeing on the ground is that fourplexes become financially infeasible, prompting builders and homeowners to default to triplexes instead, and that the fourth unit, despite being permitted as of right, simply doesn't get built due to financial constraints. So even though our zoning allows 4 units, the DC structure effectively discourages them. That's a policy misalignment that's holding back the kind of incremental intensification that the city is trying to promote. Aligning the DC bylaw with the zoning bylaw would be incredibly impactful. The city already permits 4 units as of right, which is a strong policy signal, but without DC alignment, that signal doesn't translate into actual housing delivery for many builders and homeowners. This alignment would be particularly impactful for infill rental projects because it would also better align with the federal HST rebate for purpose-built rentals, which only applies at 4 units or more. Without an expanded development charge waiver, rental projects that could otherwise proceed at 4 units simply do not move forward. Removing DCs on the fourth unit would unlock many of these stalled projects. I understand there are concerns about the cost of a DC exemption, but the real-world impact is relatively small and largely would be offset. Most proponents already avoid fourplexes because of the DC cliff, which means the DCs on the fourth unit often aren't collected anyway because the fourth unit simply isn't built. At the same time, a fourth unit generates long-term property tax revenue and represents a more efficient use of existing infrastructure. Enabling 4 units instead of stopping at 3 improves housing supply and long-term fiscal outcomes. There's a strong and growing interest in missing middle and infill housing, particularly among small builders, local investors, and mom-and-pop homeowners. These projects keep local trades working and typically deliver more attainable housing. I hear this consistently through our clients as well as my association colleagues. The appetite is there. The fourth unit DC structure is one of the main reasons projects stall at 3 units. Toronto helps provide a relevant comparator. They have waived development charges on multiplexes up to 4 units. Recently, they took it a step further and expanded DC exemptions up to 6 units in parts of the city. In another bold move to incentivize attainable missing middle and infill housing, they have exempted cash in lieu of parkland dedication for those projects. Toronto has signaled they are serious about unlocking missing middle housing supply. Hamilton has an opportunity to move in the same direction in a way that fits our local context. In closing, based on my experience and that of my association colleagues, I truly believe that limiting development charges on the 4th unit would unlock significantly more fourplexes citywide. By limiting DCs on the 4th unit, the city can further enable gentle, small-scale intensification, support attainable housing delivery, and do so with minimal real cost to the city. This is a pragmatic approach that aligns policy with outcomes. Thank you once again, Councillor Huang, for your motion, and thank you, councillors and city staff, for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Perfectly timed with 9 seconds to spare. Thank you for that. Seeing Councillor Huang is first up on the speakers list. Councillor Huang, please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles, for your delegation today. I know you and I had this conversation when we were at the Kiwanis fourplex unveiling in Ward 4. I know you said it multiple times throughout your delegation about the appetite for why many builders don't go to that 4th unit, but I wonder if you can give us a little more anecdotal evidence, because when I asked staff how many applications might have come through, they didn't have a very big number, but I think just understanding the actual intention of these small scale builders, if you can give us a little more anecdotal, sort of like what you hear from other similar small scale builders like yourself.
Absolutely. Through the chair to the councillor. So through our company, our clients, many of them want to build these fourplexes, and then they're shocked they don't understand development charges. And we're talking like homeowners. I'll give you an example. One case, there was a triplex, and they wanted to add a 4th unit. And right now, young people are struggling to make ends meet. They require these extra units for additional rental income to mitigate with their carrying costs. So in this case, this homeowner wanted to convert their garage. Well, the garage was going to be $90,000 in fees to convert. That was going to be more than the renovation cost. So obviously they scrapped it. This is happening a lot, not just one case. As mentioned, I'm the chair of the Missing Middle and Infill Subcommittee at the Western Home Builders. It's made up of small builders and other trades. They're saying the same thing with their clients as well. And even within our internal project, Gateway, we do both client projects and internal projects, and it's just not feasible to do the 4th unit because of the astronomical costs, especially when you are at the small scale. We cannot pencil $90,000 to be able to add one extra unit. At 3 units, there's no DCs, but once you add that 4th unit, you're at $60,000 for development charges and additional fees for parkland and such.
Okay, thank you very much. That was really stark numbers when you had presented them to me early on. So I think that with this motion, this is just asking for a report back. So just wanted to level set you in terms of what that looks like. Thank you, Chair. Those are all my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Huang. Just taking a quick scan to see if there's any more questions of the delegates. And I'm seeing none. So thank you, Charles, for being here today. And you can exit the WebEx now. We're going to move on to item 6.6, which is Jamie Shortall from the Fuldom Corporation respecting audit report, item 8.2. And I'm going to see if Jamie's on here. Jamie, welcome. You've got
Good morning.
5 minutes. We'll try our best at the 4-minute mark to indicate you have a minute remaining. Should that fail, I'll pop in and remind you that we are at the 5-minute mark. And from there, we'll go from there. We'll start the clock now.
Thank you. Honorable members of council and city administration officials, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today to address the Auditor General's report concerning the Barton Tiffany Temporary Shelters Project. My name is Jamie Shortall, and I'm the president of Fuldom Corporation. Founded in 2020, Fuldom is a leading provider of innovative, quality housing solutions that provide dignity and safety to the communities and individuals who need them most. Our presence here is intended to contribute constructively to Council's understanding of the issues identified in this audit, and more importantly, to stronger support outcomes going forward. To start, we applaud the City of Hamilton's efforts to address this highly complex issue of homelessness and addressing the unhoused. We also want to acknowledge the professionalism and diligence of the Office of the Auditor General. Independent oversight of this nature is essential to public trust, and it is our belief that the findings before Council today reflect careful, methodological work. The AG's findings specifically reference, include, and directly involve Foldham's intellectual property, technical drawings, and proprietary shelters designs. The report concludes that microshelters and Global Access supplied the city with shelters not meeting code. Our proprietary folding bed systems and technical drawings that originated from Foldham without our authorization, including multiple instances where our name, logo, and official engineering stamps were deliberately obscured, with microshelters logos placed over top. Critically, Global Access was Foldham's supplier, and per the auditor's report, microshelters has stated that they received our drawings and marketing materials from Global Access. Upon first learning of the Barton Tiffany project, we immediately discovered that a newly formed entity, Microshelters, registered to a private residence and lacking any discernible track record, had populated its website with numerous images and videos taken directly from Foldham's website, depicting installations from projects in Utah and Oregon, and even included images of Foldham's staff. Their site also linked to multiple news articles referencing Foldham's work, presented in a manner that clearly implied these projects were Microshelters' own. Within 48 hours, we issued a formal cease and desist letter to Microshelters, and a week later, escalated by issuing a second letter, both of which clearly alleged multiple infringements and blatant unauthorized use of our intellectual property. For reasons still being investigated, they chose not to stop, cure, or even respond. As well, Foldham issued a Freedom of Information Records request to the City of Hamilton back on August 8th, 2025. But as of today, months later, despite repeated requests and follow-up, we still have not received the documents requested. The delay and apparent lack of transparency concerns us, especially because Foldham's proprietary drawings are at issue. We believe it is important for the Council to hear directly from Foldham, not to revisit the audit, but to provide context regarding our business practices and how we believe those practices differ materially from what was ultimately performed on the project as reported. Our designs are proprietary, independently reviewed, and stamped by external third-party engineering firms for compliance and safety certifications. Any modifications to designs require recertification via engineering review, and these safeguards exist to protect all parties and the integrity of public projects. Unauthorized alterations to technical drawings introduce real and measurable risks, including safety concerns, code non-compliance, and long-term liability exposure. Technical drawings and designs also are modified and tailored specifically for the applicable codes for each location, each project. Using drawings from one project without consideration for these differences poses safety and compliance issues. As the audit documents, the city ultimately incurred significant additional costs to retrofit and upgrade the units received to meet code. In our opinion, these costs could have absolutely been avoided through direct engagement and collaboration with our team, as a standard operating procedure that no structure leaves our facilities for their destination unless certified in advance at the design level to meet all local codes. Also, we feel it's important for Foldham to understand that Foldham has a sincere and genuine interest in Canada. I am Canadian, as is Foldham's co-founder. Months before ever learning of Barton Tiffany, we filed with the CRA, and our company, myself included, attended the SEPSA conference in Ottawa. We have active ongoing dialogues with multiple municipalities, provinces, federal stakeholders, and officials regarding housing needs and initiatives across the country. Furthermore, via partnership is yet to be announced, we also have multiple manufacturing facilities in Canada. Our purpose here today is intended as constructive, support accountability and transparency, share lessons learned, and to assist the Council in strengthening safeguards for future projects. Via public filings and widely reported, Foldham has initiated legal proceedings against Microshelters and Global Access relating to the conduct identified in the audit, and we are continuing to investigate this matter. Thank you for your time and attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions Council may have.
Thank you, Jamie. Perfect timing on your part. I've got Councillor Spadafora up first on the speakers list. Councillor Spadafora, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Jamie, really appreciate you being here today. I think there's a lot of information you're sharing that is of great interest to our committee, all the councillors and many of our citizens. First question I want to ask, if you can repeat the date you said that you applied to the city of Hamilton for a FOI. Can you provide that date again? I wasn't able to write it down when you mentioned it. Through you,
Certainly.
Chair.
Through the chair, August 8, 2025.
Councillor?
Thank you. And Jamie, I don't know if you can answer this question or not, and if you can, I understand. Is there currently any litigation that you're taking against micro shelters? And again, if you are unable to answer that, I would be okay with that. Through you, Chair, and that's my last question.
Thank you. Yes, through the chair, there is ongoing action against micro shelters and global access. And that is a matter of public record, and those filings can be found through various court dockets.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you for that, Jamie, and I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm taking a quick scan of the board, and I do not see, oh, I see Councillor Maureen Wilson. Please proceed, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. I have two questions for the, excuse me, the delegate. If you're able, I don't know if it's my privilege to ask, on the FOI of August the 8th, may I ask, what is the scope of your request? What are you hoping to secure through the chair?
Certainly. Through the chair, it's a broad inquiry, but the summary of that would be all correspondence relating between the city, microshelters, and anything to do with the project leading up to, ongoing, and during the installation of the shelters.
Okay, Councillor.
Thank you. I am just curious, near the conclusion of your delegation, you referenced that you had multiple manufacturing bases in Canada. Are you able to identify more specifics on that?
Through the chair, we will soon. It is through a partnership that we simply have not announced yet. And but yes, we do have multiple facilities, mostly concentrated in Western Canada. But those facilities, both manufacturing and distribution through our partnership, are up there.
Thank you. And where's your headquarters based, if I could ask through the chair? Like, where are you right now?
Through the chair, greetings from San Diego, California, specifically Oceanside.
Nice. Well, you would appreciate our snow day today. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Just taking a quick scan and slightly jealous of the delegate for his location right now compared to the snow outside. Seeing none. Thank you so much for joining us, Jamie. You can log off from WebEx now. You're welcome to watch the proceedings on the YouTube channel or on our website.
Thank you very much, council members.
To 6.5, which is a pre-recorded delegation from Andrew Selman respecting housing audits for the Barton Tiffany Temporary Shelters Investigation and Lessons Learned for item 8.2. It might take us a moment to get that queued up, and we will begin that whenever the video starts.
Sal, we can't hear the delegate. Did you, you might have to restart it, and when you share, optimize for video. Or maybe Sal, is your mic off? I don't know if that will help.
My apologies. Give me 1 sec.
For those that may be watching, we're just sorting through some technical issues on our end, but we will have this shortly.
Sal, you have your audio set properly on your computer?
Yes, I do, Tamara. I'm not entirely sure why it's not working.
Okay, let me see if I can try.
Yeah, you might have to.
Members of the committee, and members of the public, I thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Andrew Selman. I'm a Ward 3 resident, and I'm here today to discuss the microshelter project and the report from the Auditor General. A year ago to the day, January 15th, 2025, I stood in chambers and said, when the lawsuits start piling up, when the costs come in, and members of the public, you can't say you I thank you for the opportunity to Since then, lawsuits. My name is Andrew Selman. I'm a Ward 3 resident. Here today to discuss the microshelter project from the Auditor General. A year ago to the day, January 15th, 2025.
We may have to restart that because it sounds like there's 3 or 4 delegates talking at the same time. Please bear with us as we reset the delegates' video.
Committee and members of the public, I thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Andrew Selman. I'm a Ward 3 resident, and I'm here today to discuss the microshelter project and the report from the Auditor General. A year ago to the day, January 15th, 2025, I stood in chambers and said, when the lawsuits start piling up, when the costs come in, and members of the public, you can't say you I thank you for the opportunity to Since then, lawsuits. My name is Andrew Selman. The costs have piled up, and they are now the subject of the Auditor's to discuss the microshelter project. And like many people in this city, I wear a few different hats in my life. A year ago to the day, January 15th, a proud Hamiltonian, I stood in chambers and said, I've spent much of my corporate start piling up. When the costs come in, and members of the public, you can't evaluating whether processes have been followed. My name is Andrew Selman. The costs have piled up.
Right? I'm sorry, bear with me for 1 second. We've almost got it. Close, close, close. It'll be fun, they said. We'll have a few laughs.
Hats in my life. I'm a father, I'm a taxpayer, I'm a proud Hamiltonian, and professionally, I've spent much of my corporate career in corporate compliance auditing, evaluating whether processes have been followed, where they fail, and fixing them so mistakes don't happen again. Now, I'll start with my first hat, which just as a citizen of Hamilton. I became involved in this issue the way many residents might, watching council proceedings at home. During one of those meetings, a City of Hamilton employee referenced prior work supposedly completed by Microshelter Inc., including what was described as the Utah project. What concerned me was simple. that information was not accurate. Microshelter Inc. had never done a project in Utah. So I did what any auditor would do. I verified it. That same afternoon, I contacted the president of Foldham Corporation in the United States, the company whose materials and imagery Microshelter is referencing. We spoke at length about the project, about this project, about construction standards, electrical requirements, insulation, and what realistically could be expected based on the shipping details of the units we, the city of Hamilton, had purchased. At the same time, business records were pulled. They showed Microshelter Inc. was incorporated just weeks prior to winning a multi-million-dollar contract. Additional information was gathered through public records and basic data collection. I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back. I'm saying it because it matters. Because the reality is, in a single afternoon, a private citizen conducted more due diligence than the city of Hamilton did prior to committing millions of public dollars, prepaid, 100% upfront for deficient units. That's not an opinion, that's a documented fact, as stated by the Auditor General, who said a basic Google search would have shown the city of Hamilton much of this information. Now, the mayor has said decisions were made in good faith on information and circumstances available at the time with the intent of serving the community's best interests. As a taxpayer, I reject that framing, particularly the phrase, the information available, because the problem wasn't bad faith. The problem was a failure to seek, verify, and challenge information that was readily obtainable. That failure didn't just cost money. It cost the opportunity to house more people. The millions of dollars lost to overwork, rework, could have housed people for years. Instead, those dollars went to rewiring units that arrived with appliance wiring, something that should have never passed a basic procurement check. This brings me to my final hat as an auditor. What this report lays out is not a series of minor missteps. It describes foundational process failures. No vendor vetting, no formal contract, massive advance payments. These are not edge cases. They're procurement 101. And when the city fails of this magnitude order, they raise a serious question. If the city cannot execute a project like this with discipline and controls, how can the residents be confident in future large-scale initiatives, no matter how well-intentioned? So I close with two clear asks. First, transparency. Release to the public the precise timeline from first contact between the city of Hamilton and Microshelter Inc. The fact is, this company was created just weeks prior. It's not incidental. It's central to understanding how this happened. Second, accountability and structure. Adopt a formal public root cause analysis, whether through a Six Sigma DMAIC framework or an equivalent methodology. Identify every process level failure, assign ownership, and clearly articulate to the public how this will be corrected and controlled going forward. Everyone in this room, I'm sure, wants to help vulnerable people. I believe that. But good intentions don't excuse poor execution. And urgency can never override good governance. Hamiltonians, taxpayers, and the people we want to help, they all deserve a lot better than this. Thank you very much. My name is Andrew Selman. Have a great day.
Okay, now that we've got that all sorted out, obviously there are no questions of a pre-recorded delegation, so we're going to move now, a mover and seconder to receive the delegations on item 6.1, all of the, I think there's more than just 6.1 though, is there not, LC Bates? All of the delegations, we're moving to receive all the delegations at once, correct? All right, so items 6.1 through blah, 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 the rest of them.
Yeah, and this includes the staff report at 6.1A.
Perfect. Looking for a mover and seconder to bring that forward up on the big screen. Thank you, Councillor Maureen Wilson, seconded by Councillor Rob Cooper. Thank you. By a show of hands, all in favor? All in the room as well are in favor? Thank you, and that passes. We are moving on to items for information, which is item 7. So we will address all the items for information and then receive them all together at the end, unless indicated otherwise by committee members. So we'll start with item 7.1, updates related to committee liaison group, which is a citywide report. That is item 7.1, CM 26001. I'll start there. If there are questions for staff on this report. Looking at the big screen, and I do not see anyone on the list. So we're moving on to 7.2, which is PW 22007B, Roads Value for Money Audit and Roads Quality Assurance Supplemental Audit Report, which is on the OBL. Are there any questions for staff on this report? I have Councillor Maureen Wilson up first. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for this report. This was a really another really insightful audit delivered last term of council, I believe, showing some clear deficiencies in both my recollection is both the product and the lifespan of the product. And so my queries are just, I'm not sure I understand the technical references in the appendix on those matters that are outstanding. So rather than go into the specifics, perhaps if some of those things that are outstanding, if I could just get a general summary of trying to understand the delay, because I'm not sure I understand what EAM is and things like that. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to look up to the screen to see who's available to answer the questions. That is Acting Engineering Director Brian Hollingworth. Brian, please proceed.
Thank you for the introduction, Chair. Thank you for the question, Councillor Wilson. As noted in this report, this is in response to the audit that was implemented starting way back in 2021, and the city and different divisions have been progressing well on the recommendations. As noted, there's a few that are outstanding. Just generally, some of the big picture things that have been made in terms of progress, as committee and council have seen all the work on the asset management planning systems. Internally, we've done a lot of work on our pavement inspection programs, pavement design. So there's been some great progress made. With respect to your specific question, EAM is the Enterprise Asset Management System. That's a system which will solve everything and is moving along. But a few of our items are dependent on completion of that system, and it's being rolled out as we speak.
Okay, Councillor Wilson, follow up.
Yes, no, thank you for that. And I should have certainly noted in advance my preamble, the significant check marks that populate this. I just wanted to understand generally the thing on the green print and the things that are outstanding. And I appreciate all the work that's been done. I think it's really important. And thank you to Director Hollingworth.
Thank you, Councillor Maureen Wilson. I'm looking around the screen and seeing no further speakers. We're going to move on now to item 7.3, which is PW 21071B, Standards and Approved Products Committee Report. Looking to committee if there are questions on this report. Recognizing Councillor Brad Clark, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair Beatty. Can I just get clarification? One of my concerns with standardizing products is that we're losing competitive bids. So can I hear from staff how we are guaranteeing when we continue to go down this process that we are still going out to the market to get the best bids on these products?
Director Hollingworth, is that you?
Yes, that may be me. I was just checking. I don't know whether there's anyone from procurement on the call, but certainly I can start out, and maybe GM Kennedy can add as well. Everything's still very much a competitive process. The Approved Products and Standards Committee and the associated work takes in requests for, in many cases, somewhat unique products where there's only a few types of things like, water main valves and the such on the market. And in many cases, we select multiple vendors. So it's like a list of things that the city agrees are good products. and again, it's always competitive. And those lists are also used by the contractors when they bid on projects.
Okay, and I do see Director Iacocca has joined us from procurement. I don't know if, Director, you have anything to add to the response from Acting Director Hollingworth?
Through the chair, Tina Iacocca, Director of Procurement. Oh, where did my picture go? Apologies. With respect to the approved products committee report listed in this committee report, most, if not all of these products are listed for use for the general contractors when they're making their bids. So none of these products or I should say 99% of these products are purchased from the contractors, not from the city. And it's up to the contractor to pick whichever product listed as required is best suited not only for the project, but has a competitive price as well. And so more so, this is the list of products that we use in our requirements in our projects, more of a guidance for contractors. And they rely on this document quite extensively when they're bidding.
Okay,
Councillor
so
Clark.
thank you, Chair. I'm looking at Appendix C, and it says products approved between May 23rd and September 2025. But it lists a number of manufacturers, so we are standardizing products from specific manufacturers, and if that is the case, then where is the competitive advantage in the bidding process? And wouldn't it be logical that a company that knows that the City of Hamilton will only accept our product will start charging more for that product? I mean, that seems to be logical to me.
Who wants to take the response there?
Do you want to take that one, Tina, or I'm happy to?
Sure, I can take a stab at it. So through the chair, with respect to the competitive nature, we would expect the bidders to source the products directly from the suppliers. We do not source these goods. They're used in the projects themselves. We would expect them to do their due diligence when getting competitive bids. If they don't, I would expect that to be evident in the pricing that they're submitting to the city with respect to their tender prices. I understand that these products, we also look to the Good Roads Authority to ensure that their standards, that we're trying to be consistent with their standards as well. I know that Director Hollingworth can speak to this. With respect to competitiveness, again, it's not the city procuring these goods or items, it's the contractors. However, the city would, if need be, have to do any maintenance or warranty work. And if it wasn't covered under the original contract, we may look to these products that we'd have to procure these same type of products that was used in the project. But I would expect the competitive nature to come from the market itself.
Follow up?
I guess I don't understand, because if I am the creator of Acme Piping and Joints, and you, the City of Hamilton, has selected my company and my standardized product, and I know that the contractors who are bidding on your jobs must use my product, where's the incentive for me to be competitive? Because you must use my product. So I can make my product now 10 times the price, because I know you're still going to come to me for my product, because Hamilton standardized it and said you can only use my product. Do you see my concern?
Yeah, through the chair, I understand it completely, Councillor. And I'm going to look to engineering to speak to if any of these products are actually single sourced. But I believe that the standards committee is trying to ensure that we have at least 2, if not 3 sources of supply for each of the products. But again, I'd have to ask Director Hollingworth to provide information to that effect.
Through the chair to the councillor.
Director, just before you pop on there, I did make note that GM Kennedy has joined us, just so you know, if there's additional comment that might come from the general manager, but I'll let you proceed first, Acting Director Hollingworth.
through the chair to the councillor, as Director Ayako notes, in many cases there is multiple choices. One of the purposes of this report is that it allows us to do research on different products that are suitable. And as I noted, in many cases, there's not an infinite number of people that supply Acme valves or signal poles or signal lights and things like that. So we can take the time to do the research in advance, as opposed to a contractor just selecting a product that we haven't verified. And so that's one of the primary purposes of this report. I wouldn't say it reduces competitiveness.
Well, I would. I look at the very top of Appendix C. You have catch basin frame and cover OPSD 400.020, and there are 2 companies that are offering it. So there is a lack of competitiveness built right into the system. And I'm often asked from the private sector, how is it that they can do a similar job for less money than the public sector? And if we're forcing people to use standardized products from specific companies, then those companies know they have an edge. So I still haven't heard a valid reason or a way to ensure that it is competitive.
So I do
Through the
see
chair.
that, General Manager Kennedy has raised her hand, and sorry to cut you off there, Brian. I don't know if maybe the General Manager has a more fulsome response. Please proceed, GM Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair Beatty. Jackie Kennedy, General Manager of Public Works. Just some background on how this list gets generated as well, and the process involved. So your example of Acme Piping, if you are Acme Piping, you are welcome to submit an application for your product and explain to the committee why your product should be on our list of approved products. So it's standard and approved products committee. In some cases, we do need to standardize in order to reduce costs for spare and replacement parts, or to provide consistency for our operations, so that when the crews go in to do work on specialized equipment, like, for example, valves or pumps within pumping stations for our water systems, that they can go in and they're familiar with the equipment so that they can work on it efficiently. So in that case, we're looking at a standardized product. Approved products would be based on a quality requirement. So we want to make sure that when we've got pipes going in the ground, that they are going to last for a timeline that is consistent with our planning and our quality measures. In these cases, though, we can have more than one product, and we want to. So we invite products, suppliers, manufacturers to put their applications in, and we will only qualify products when we need to. And so if it is a more generic type of situation, we won't have them on this list, and it will be more open to the market in general. We also have provisions in our contracts with our suppliers and with our contractors that if they have an alternate suggestion that they think is just as good and they can get a better price for it, they can submit that in through our project managers and go through an approval process so that they can suggest an alternative. I hope that provides a little more background on how we go through this process to balance really getting the quality, the consistency where we need it, so that the equipment we are installing provides good value for Hamilton.
Okay, Councillor Clark, I will make note that you are the only speaker, but we are now into about a second round, going into a third round of questions.
Yeah, I'm going to stop the questions. I have concerns. My concerns have not been alleviated. Thank you.
Through the chair, if I may just add one point, which I think will
Please
help
proceed, Director.
alleviate those concerns, is that Appendix C is just the products that were approved between May 2023 and September 2025. So with reference to the catch basin frames, which I think was a really good example, Councillor, there is more on the larger list. I think 4 or 5 in that case. So this is just the list of things that have been approved since the last report. And perhaps it would be helpful for us to share to yourself and any others that want it, the full list of products. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to take you up on that offer, Director, the reach out more specifically to Councillor Clark for continued follow-up, but additionally to all members of AFNA. Seeing no other speakers on the list, I am now going to ask whoever is responsible for utility billing transition to populate yourself on the screen. We're going to go into item FCS 21082J, item 7.4, which is the utility billing transition update. And if there are questions of staff, I will look to answer them now. Seeing first, Councillor Maureen Wilson, please. And I see Director Clayton Pereira has turned on his microphone and camera. Please proceed, Councillor Maureen Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for this report. My only request is, just given the importance of this and some, worthy concerns noted about ensuring we deliver on time, if I could just have a quick overview. That's it. Thank you.
Director Pereira.
Through the chair, happy to provide an overview. Just give me one sec. The purpose of report FCS 21082J is to provide council with an update on the city's transition to a new in-house utility billing system known as the Hamilton Utilities Billing, or HUB, which will replace the billing services currently provided by Electra Utilities. To support residents during the transition, there are a series of steps that have been taken internally. Specifically, positions have been hired in the HUB program to get ready for the March 30th, 2026 go live. We have also sought approval from council in the previous report as far as providing temporary customer relief measures for late payments, as an example, and arrears transfers to tax roll fees and related interest charges that will be waived between March 16th and July the 1st. Now, specific to the project as it stands, user acceptance testing is underway, marking a key milestone in validating end-to-end customer billing and service workflows. Testing began on November the 25th of 2025. Upcoming milestones include completing the UAT cycles, operational readiness, and issuing the required 30-day readiness notice to Electra by Feb 27th of 2026. Overall, the project progress, which is shared in the appendix, remains strong. Data conversion is at 88% complete, system configuration at 98% completion, development integrations at 84%, testing at 81%, and training at 80%. Finally, due to the Payments Canada regulations that staff were made aware of in early summer of 2025, pre-authorized banking information was not able to be transferred from Electra to the city. As a result, those that were on pre-authorized, which is approximately about 55,000 water accounts, are required to re-enroll in the pre-authorized debit. The re-enrollment campaign launched in December of 2025, and approximately 16% of these 55,000 have re-enrolled. Staff continue to monitor uptake and have appropriate customer support resources in place.
Apologies. Councillor Wilson, any follow-up? We're good? Okay, moving on now to Councillor Tammy Wang, please.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions. What happens if in the December mail out rollout that people don't enroll with Optima? What happens there?
Uh, to the chair, Council, it's a good question, and so we've got two measures in place. So they can choose not to, or if they have missed the mail out, what will happen is essentially they will receive a bill uh, from Hub at the first sort of cycle that they would typically receive a bill, and it would be noted that alternative payment arrangements would have to be made. Now, in case they miss that and they make the assumption that, oh, they are already on pre-authorized as they were previously on Electra, what would happen is they would get a notification that penalty would be applicable. However, with council approval to waive the penalty, that would be that first sort of indication for them to take the appropriate measures to either sign up for pre-authorized or make alternative arrangements at that point.
Okay. Through you, Chair, I had a town hall on Monday this week, and I had both GM Zagaric and, oh, actually all three, Director Weaver and Rob. Anyway, Rob from your team, Clayton, was there.
Davinsky.
Davinsky, that's right. Rob Davinsky was there. And we had some significant feedback from the residents saying that they saw the letter, while they were reading it, they thought it was spam because you are sending your personalized information to a PO box in Toronto. So it was a fairly robust conversation around how do we talk about correspondence, especially because in my ward, we do have a lot of seniors that might be on pre-authorized payment, and because of the prevalence of scam mailings and emails and all of that stuff. So, what's the messaging that we're trying to do to help people understand that this is not a scam? That despite what it's asking, which is like asking for your personal pre-authorized information to be sent to a PO box in Toronto, that this is actually a legitimate action that needs to happen. So if you can help me answer that question.
Through the chair, once again, very good question, and we have received feedback from council offices. So we do have approval for communications to be going out imminently, and essentially to clarify on the Toronto PO box. I'm just going to take a little bit of verbiage from there just to kind of highlight what will be shared through that communication. Essentially it is the PO box is indeed Toronto, and it is secure. It is a centralized mail processing location, not an office or a billing center. It is used specifically to handle high volume, sensitive financial documents during the transition period. And all billing administration, customer service, and hub staff remain City of Hamilton employees working locally. So this essentially is a processing center just because of the high volume transactions that are taking place to ensure that they are set up in a timely manner.
Okay, so my follow-up question through you, Chair, is are there other methods in which residents can contact the hub team to maybe get their pre-authorized payment information in a different way? Maybe if as much as that messaging is going to go out, what if they still don't feel comfortable with that? Are there other methods?
Uh, Through the chair, again, once again, a very good question. And yes, and we have been receiving a lot of uh, pre-authorized forms being completed and sent to City Hall, and actually taking advantage of some of the mailouts that are currently taking place for the vacant unit tax, where they're actually putting in both pieces of documentation, the declaration as well as the pre-authorized form, in there, and through the synergies of revenue services, we have been able to, ensure that the information is then sent to Hub, and by virtue of that, processing those applications. So we do offer other opportunities. It does not need to go to the Toronto PO box that is there. So we are looking for providing whatever comfort the resident feels is necessary to process this information. As an additional step, as part of that communication that will be going out imminently, is also talking about the future enhancement. And that is essentially working with IT to actually have a pre-authorized uh, uh, online presence on the Hamilton webpage. And not to get into the details, but we're trying to look at synergies between taxation and utility billing to make sure that it is all one and the same for residents, so that they are processing their pre-authorized payments in a unified manner for both services.
Okay. Last question for you, Chair, is what's the timeline on that clarifying email correspondence messaging on this? So then that way we can try and get that 16% up a little bit higher. So what's that timeline look like?
Director?
Through the chair, we're looking within a day. Within a few days. It has gone through the motions of being approved, and now we're just working through the appropriate channels now to have that message out.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Huang. Up next, Councillor Brad Clark, please.
Thank you, Chair. To follow up on Councillor Wang's question, so if the mail-out's going to be the same fulfillment address in Toronto, then how are we correcting the cynicism of people? They're concerned they're going to fill out a form and it's not going to be the city of Hamilton that's taking their money.
Director?
Through the chair, so if I'm understanding the question correctly, the Toronto PO box is obviously for the purposes of high volumes. To avoid the issues of having especially so many of those that are currently in pre-authorized process in a manner that it is ready for the next billing, is why we had chosen to use this particular customer service portal to assist us in that.
I understand that. That was explained to Councillor Wang. The issue is residents are seeing this and they're saying, I'm not sending my banking information to a post office box in Toronto. And so how are we going to get them to agree to do this if they're afraid that this is a scam?
To the chair, my apologies for misinterpreting the question. The choices for the resident to pursue this, and this is obviously to avoid the disruption in service when we do the transition. Naturally, as part of this messaging that will be going out, we are providing that option whether they want to proceed with having their banking information to the Toronto PO box. Alternatively, we are also messaging that we will be, having these sort of enhancements at a later point, and during the interim, if they want to just pay through alternative means, then they can choose to do so.
Thank you. Electra, when they were calculating the water usage, they gave residents an opportunity to, I think they called it a budget plan. So you were paying roughly the same amount every month. It didn't go up and down with usage, and it was calculated based on past usage. It doesn't look like we're going to be doing that. So we're going to see people getting hit with high water bills in the summer, and they may not have the ways and means to pay for them.
Through the chair, we are actually looking at that, and obviously in lockstep with providing that level of service from a budgeting point of view for residents. We are also seeing that same sort of measure on the property taxes side of things. So we are looking at this holistically to try and make sure that we are keeping them top of mind. I think we can all appreciate that, whether it is personally or whether it is for all those on the call, that it does make more sense on a cash flow basis to do this. So there is an effort to ensure we provide that level of service, or at least consider that as part of where we expect to be, firstly from a pre-authorized basis, but then also having that opportunity for residents to also decide on what they want to pay, and have a very similar sort of setup with some of the other utility companies. So that is certainly a thought that's kept in mind.
Okay, I see that, sorry to interrupt, I see that Manager John Savoya. Manager John, have I got that right?
No, back to Senior Policy Advisor.
Okay, thank you for that. Hopefully I didn't downgrade you inadvertently. You had some additional comments that you might want to offer?
Yes, so with respect, through the chair, John Savoy, Senior Policy Advisor, Corporate Services, to Councillor Clark's comment about the equal payment plan is what Electra refers to it. We don't have a lot of customers that are actually on equal payment plan. Those that have gone on, it's primarily for their electricity costs, because they, tend to go up. And summertime, they deal with the air conditioning. With respect to water accounts, we've had historically lots of problems with equal payment plans, because what happens is when a customer experiences a leak, that is not realized unless a customer is closely looking at their bill and seeing that consumption bar chart that's on there, and see that they've actually used more water. And then what happens is sometimes the leak is not identified, and so it continues to go on for several months until you get to that point where the equal payment plan is being reconciled, usually about once a year. And so then we end up with that equal payment plan jumping significantly, because now the customer has to all this water bills that weren't reflecting their true actual usage. So that was always been a problem. The other fact is we then went to monthly billing. So prior to 2017, the residential customers were being on a bi-monthly billing cycle. So a lot of customers would look to go to an equal payment plan in order to get to be able to pay their on a monthly basis. So given that we are on a monthly billing cycle, and given all the problems we've had with water leaks not being reflected on their bills in a timely manner, that also creates a problem that the leaks don't get identified for a long time. The other issue is that people sometimes they'll install an irrigation system, turn it on, and don't realize actually how much water they're using until much later under an equal payment plan. And so you get your immediate feedback on your actual water usage by getting the bill there. Now, if someone has at any point in time a bill that comes in high and that they're not able to deal with, we have a payment arrangement policy which is available to all customers. They simply call our customer service, and they'll work into a payment arrangement to help address that. And then in the case of residential plumbing leaks, we do have the water leak adjustment policy. So that is, and part of that policy requires customers to identify, fix the plumbing problem, and then submit their request for an adjustment. And that's usually supposed to be done in a timely basis. And that sometimes gets defeated or challenged with the equal payment plan. So that's the reason why we are not looking to implement an equal payment plan option for water bills.
Okay. So I heard two answers. One, we're looking at it, and one, we're not looking at it. And when people get their bill, the bill says how much water they used. It shows you the graph, whether or not you've got a high water usage or not. So they get that monthly no matter what. So the equal payment plan was something that was offered by Electra. You have many customers, not all, that like that plan, and so what you're saying is we're canceling that plan.
Through the chair, that an equal payment plan is not being incorporated in the new billing system. That was a decision made by the steering committee about a year and a half ago on that. And part of the challenge we have is we're at around 45% of our customers are e-billed. And so we find, because they're not actually looking at the image of their bill unless they actually go and make that effort to do so. So what we find is a lot of people don't realize they have water leaks until they actually see an increased amount of the bill itself, more so than the then they're seeing it. So that's the biggest challenge we've had with people on water bills being on equal payment plans. I see GM Zagaric is viewed here, so I'm sure he's going to step in.
Through the chair, I'm just mindful how much dialogue there's been on this issue. We're happy to take this offline, and I understand the issue is really hardship, and how do we ensure that we mitigate the potential challenges around hardship of paying utility bills and provide the most options. So we'll take it offline. We'll circle back with any councillors, including yourself, Councillor Clark, and if we see the opportunity to add that as an option, we can add it. If there's other options we can provide to avoid hardship, we'll add those options as well.
Chair, thank you, GM Zagaric. I look forward to that report back. I am getting calls from seniors who like the original plan and they're concerned about it. And this is the first I'm hearing that staff had considered canceling that program. So I'm not sure if I missed an email or not, but I was not aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Seeing that the speakers list is empty and there are no further questions from committee members, we are now going to separate out item 7.3 for an independent vote. It will be a recorded vote, so e-scribe will be required. So we're going to begin with that, please. Item 7.3 separated out. Please indicate your vote on the e-scribe.
May I first have a mover and seconder?
I should require that. Yes, I see Councillor Spadafora, Councillor Huang. Thank you. As soon as it populates, folks, please indicate your vote. Councillor Pauls?
There we go. Thank you.
And that carries 9-1. We are now going to do the remainder of these information reports, so items 7.1, 2, and 4. As a hand vote, if you would please indicate your vote now. All in favor? Seeing that that is unanimous. Thank you so much, folks. We're moving on to items for consideration. But first up, I've got Councillor Spadafora on the list. Councillor?
Thank you, Chair. At this time, based on the weather event today, the closure of schools, city facilities, I am moving a referral of item 8.2 to a special meeting on February 10th. I think this item, the importance of the item, the ability to have all members of our city be able to be here, have it open and transparent to make sure all staff are available. I think it would only make sense based on the events of today with the weather that we would refer this to a special meeting on February 10th that would just allow us to focus strictly on this item, which I believe it deserves that sort of attention. Thank you. Seconder is Councillor Rob Cooper.
Okay, so there's a referral on the board. And just for clarity, you have conferred, I believe, with Clerk Trenum on the availability of this date?
I have, Chair Beatty.
Okay, thank you.
May
Elsie
I
Bates.
recommend through you, Mr. Chair, that we add 8.2 and 11.1 being the confidential appendix?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's 8.2 in its entirety, including the 11.1 confidential appendix. So there's a referral. The only debate now will be on the instructions. I have Councillor Alex Wilson on the instructions, please.
Thank you. So are the, just to be clear, the instructions are to have a meeting on February 10th?
That is correct. A special GIC to be held on February 10th. And I apologize to Councillor Kretsch, who I believe was first on the list. You will follow right after I finish with Councillor Alex Wilson.
Okay, I'm going to flag that that does have conflicts with the City of Housing Hamilton next board meeting. I also just will say I have a doctor's appointment, like there's a conflict there. I cleared my time to be available today. I think that, yes, the weather's happened. Staff are available today. We've had public delegations. It's also, we're receiving audit recommendations. And if there's further public engagement, those can happen at a future public meeting. Like they don't have to be tied to the receiving of these audit recommendations. We can make changes. So I'm not going to be available on the 10th, unfortunately. And I'm prepared to have these conversations today and continue having them if we need more time and we're not able to start today. But I'm not in support of starting today.
Okay, duly noted. Seeing Councillor Kretsch up next, please.
I was going to say the same thing with respect to a City Housing Hamilton Board of Directors meeting in the morning that day. That's already been scheduled in advance. And again, these are, like Councillor Alex Wilson said, where there's another opportunity to hear this. So the management responses are coming back in the future. So when those management responses come back, it'll also come back to AFNA. So I'm not sure if that impacts that time schedule or not, or how we're doing that and how that overlaps. So just wanting to be conscious of that, because if the management responses somehow come before or after, we're going to end up in the same situation again, people saying, well, the management responses weren't back or they were back. So just being thoughtful about the actual process of the audit and the fact that this is the Audit Finance Administration Committee for a reason. So I'm not going to support this today.
Okay, duly noted. Any other speakers on the instructions for the referral to February 10th as a special GIC? And I do see and recognize first Councillor Maureen Wilson, followed by Councillor Tammy Huang, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just needing some clarification from you. Sorry to put you in a hot seat. The parameters on the instructions, so that would not enable me to ask a question about to staff about their timelines for the management responses, etc.
Unfortunately, we can only speak to the instructions, which is to defer this to February 10th, special GIC to be called.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
That's all I'm able to respond, unfortunately. Councillor Huang, please.
Thank you. Also a question on timing. So February 10th, when? Have we got that sorted yet?
So that does speak to instructions, and I do see that Clerk Trenham is online. I don't know if there's any further refinement of specificity that could be offered. Clerk Trenham?
Through you, Chair, we would likely schedule it for 9:30. We could include that in the instructions. And I just want to clarify, we wouldn't call it GIC. We would be Committee of the Whole.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Huang?
Does it have to be at 9:30?
Through you, Chair, the instructions are before the committee, so we could look at elsewhere. That was just the next available date in the calendar that we could potentially schedule one. The date itself, again, is debatable.
So for clarity, if I may ask, Clerk, the instructions speak to February 10th. There's not necessarily a time attached to it. Is there any opportunity for refinement on the time? I'm seeing a head nod. So at minimum, this is a deferral to February 10th. The timing could be fluid. Looking for a confirmation of that, Clerk Trenham?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay. So then the instructions remain February 10th, timing to TBD. And I would imagine that there'll be some consultation potentially to try to ensure maximum attendance.
Okay, that's all my questions. I was just wondering about timing, that's all. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I see next Councillor Clark, please.
Thank you, Chair. So the question as to whether or not staff will be prepared or will have responses for the auditor's report, can we not require that for February 10th?
I'm going to, I don't know who I'm looking to. Counselor or Clerk Trenum, I don't know if you're able to respond to that.
Perhaps not fully chair, but it wouldn't change. It would be exactly what's before you today. So if staff have questions available today, they would be ready to answer those same questions on whatever date the information is brought forward.
Okay.
There's an auditor's report. Has staff responded to each of the items in the auditor's report like we normally do? I don't believe that's the case, and I'm trying to ask whether or not that can be done before February 10th.
I'm not sure that we're able to answer that question given that we are speaking to the instructions.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
I think, Chair, that we could ask that question if there's somebody online that can speak to whether those questions will be ready by that time.
Okay, I see that the Auditor General has joined us as well as the City Manager. I'm not sure who wants to take the first crack at this, noticing that we are, I would say as Chair, on a very thin line here in terms of instructions, so trying to keep it to the motion at hand, please.
Through you, Chair, Auditor General Charles Brown. Just the facts. We have received one overall response to the recommendations, but we've not received individual responses to each recommendation, and there are 11 of those.
So I'd like to ask staff to have responses to those 11 issues by February the 10th.
Well, I believe that they have heard you, and I do see that the City Manager is about to offer a quick response.
Through the chair, because of the timing of receipt of the audit, we gave a general response and said we would respond more fulsomely. We will do so before that meeting if this passes.
There you are.
Thank
So
you.
the instructions will be for staff to have a more fulsome response. That aligns nicely. Thank you. With that, I see no further questions on the referral motion, so we'll proceed with an electronic vote, please. Vote is up. The motion is carried by a measure of 8-2. So with that, we are now going to proceed to 8.1, which is the Special Investigation Summary, DART's Video Privacy Breach and Auditor General Reporting of a Serious Matter, Fraud and Waste Report 80767, which is AUD 26001. I'm going to ask that the Auditor General begin with his report.
Thank you, Chair, Auditor General Charles Brown. And through you, I'm going to ask Deputy Auditor General Bridget Menard just to give a brief couple of minute overview of our report.
Okay, Deputy General Menard.
Through the chair, good morning. We conducted a special investigation to investigate alleged privacy breaches related to the public disclosure of in-vehicle surveillance video by one of the city's vendors, DARTs, via their subcontractor on YouTube. The purpose of our investigation was to identify how processes and procedures could be improved to prevent future occurrences and to minimize and manage such risks. For the video forensics work, we engaged an external video forensic expert, Digital Evidence International, Inc. I'm joined today with Steve Rogers from that firm. This matter involved one vehicle. So what did we find in this investigation? We found that the MDVR was insecurely mounted, wedged in place with styrofoam, and showed visible signs of tampering. The hard drive could be removed and copied from with minimal obstruction. At the time relevant to the breach, there was no password-protected access or encryption of the mobile digital video recorder storage. Copying could occur unobstructed once physically accessed. At the time of the fieldwork in early 2025, the monthly vehicle inspection process did not include review of surveillance equipment installation or configuration. In summary, our investigation found contract and security weaknesses and opportunities to strengthen security procedures, as well as the city's contract management and oversight of vendors. The critical points of failure were the combination of inadequate physical and digital security of the mobile digital video recorder, or MDVR, and the stored data. I note that our office has previously issued several audit reports within the past 5 or so years pertaining to this particular city vendor, darts. The Office of the Auditor General has made 9 recommendations to address the concerns identified during our investigation, and management agreed with them or is implementing an appropriate alternative action for all of them. 4 recommendations per management are completed or ongoing, most others to be resolved by Q2 of this year.
Thank you. Looking to see if there are any questions, and I do not see anyone on the speakers list. Give a second. No, second glance. Okay. In that case, if I could have a mover and seconder to approve the recommendations in the report. Oh, I do see Councillor Spatafora as the mover. Thank you. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Tammy Huang, thank you. Please indicate your vote now.
Councillor Taddison, I think, is probably.
I believe Councillor Taddison has left us.
Yeah. Okay.
That passes by a vote of 8-0. Thank you, colleagues. So because we have deferred item 8.2, which is the Barton Tiffany Temporary Shelters Investigation and Housing Audit, that will now be heard for those of you joining us on February 10th at a time to be determined. A special GIC or Committee of the Whole, I believe is the correct term. So we are moving on now to item 8.3, which is report FCS 26007, Residential Water and Wastewater Warranty Program. It's a citywide report. I don't know if there is a quick presentation that is going to be given. I assume so. Looking to see who's online who might give the quick overview or take questions. Clayton, looks like you're back up.
Through the chair, I'm happy to give a quick overview.
So why don't we do this? I'm just going to look at the big screen here by a nod of heads if we're looking for a quick overview of this report or if committee members are sufficiently well versed. I'm seeing a few dissenting no, we do not need to see this. So let's flip right over to questions then, starting up with Councillor Tammy Huang, please.
Sorry, can I just interrupt for a second through you, Mr. Chair? Can I just ensure that members who are in the meeting keep their cameras on? I'm seeing a lot of cameras going on and off, and I'm having a hard time keeping track of quorum.
Duly noted, and thank you, Elsie Bates. So committee members, please make sure that you maintain your camera so that we maintain quorum. We don't want to accidentally fall out of quorum. Councillor Huang, please proceed with your question.
I didn't have much in terms of additional questions for myself because I found that this report is just a continuation of what we already do, and I just wanted to get clarity on that.
Director?
Through the chair, that is correct.
So I'm good with, I'm happy to move this report through you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Huang, you are the mover. I am trolling for a seconder. Seeing it in Councillor Alex Wilson. Any additional questions, comments? Seeing none, we will move to an electronic vote, please. Please indicate your vote now. And that carries 8-0. Thank you, colleagues. We're moving on now to motions. Item 9. Beginning with item 9.1, which is potential development charges exemption for 4th residential units. Councillor Huang, if you'd be so kind as to introduce your motion, please.
Thank you, Chair. Moved by myself. I am seeking a seconder for this. This is, as you heard, Councillor Maureen Wilson is happy to second with me. The intention here is to ask staff to report back to this committee on at second quarter, on the feasibility and implications on the development charges exemption on that potential fourth unit, we did hear from Charles Watt this morning about the reasonings for this and why he wanted to advocate for that missing middle and gentle infill. But again, I wanted to understand the money implications and the revenue generation opportunities or missed opportunities here. So I'm asking committee to consider asking for this report back for Q2 of this year. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a speakers list now with Councillor Spatafora. You are first up, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm supportive of the motion. Just a question, either to the mover or if there is staff online. I just want to clarify in the report back if we will be also receiving information in regards to infrastructure. So I don't know if the infrastructure was built, you know, when you think of a bungalow in some of these neighborhoods and you think about going to 4 units, I just want to hear from growth management, Hamilton Water, whoever it is, as part of the report back, just on what those challenges could be. We talk about we don't want to, you know, we don't want to grow outside the urban boundary because we got to build new infrastructure and put, you know, more servicing in. I just want to ensure we're getting a report back that would include when we're going from a bungalow similar to the Bonaventure fiasco in Ward 14, a community of bungalows, a tower, basically a 4-story tower was erected with 3 units, possibly now 4 units. I just want to ensure that that infrastructure capacity is there, and if that can be provided in the report, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Chair, I hadn't considered the infrastructure question because I do understand that a lot of these projects are on a case-by-case basis. So I would have to refer to staff if that is something that we can do within the time frame of this. But my intention was really just on the revenue numbers on this, not necessarily on the actual feasibility of fourth units in every single neighborhood.
Okay. I do see that General Manager Arvind Prasad has joined us. I don't know if you have a comment that you want to add to that in the form of a response, GM Prasad?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Arvind Prasad, General Manager, Planning and Economic Development. Yes, if we're directed to do so, we could definitely work with finance to look at the implications of additional units within existing neighborhoods. You know, you've heard a lot about parking is the big one that you always hear about, but there are also underlying infrastructure issues that may or may not be an issue. It really depends on how much development you're getting. If you're only getting 10, 20 units, it's probably not an issue. But if you're getting a substantial number of units or plan for a substantial number of units, then yes, infrastructure could be an issue to look at. So if we're directed to do so, we could definitely work with finance and make that part of the report.
Okay, thank you. I will go back to the original asker of the question.
I would, if the mover is okay with whatever staff can provide, if it could be part of the report that they can provide something similar to the GM just said in a bit of expanded response, if the mover is okay, that would be good for me.
Okay, I'll look to Councillor Huang.
I am okay with that. I don't know how to add that language into this motion. So perhaps if we move forward with this and accept this proposal as this motion as is, I can work with GM Prasad on the language and have an amended motion come back at council if that's okay for Councillor Spatafora.
Okay, so we've got 2 responses. Just before we get, I see a thumbs up from Councillor Spatafora. I do see LC Bates has a response, and I've also seen that GM Zagarik has put up his hand after LC Bates.
So I'm just clarifying that the language in the motion, rather, say to explore the feasibility and implications of providing a development charges exemption, et cetera, et cetera. So my sense would be that implications is that would be included, but I'll can defer to GM Zagarik.
Okay, GM Zagarik.
Through the chair, those were going to be my comments as well. I don't believe the motion needs amending.
Okay, so intent is clear. We've got thumbs up all around. Moved by Councillor Huang, seconded by Councillor Maureen Wilson. seeing we are moving on, sorry, my apologies. We are moving on to first-time speaker in Councillor Maureen Wilson, followed by Councillor Clark, please.
Thank you, Chair. Could I just get some clarification, please, through you to GM Prasad on the as of right status with respect to uh, the built form referenced in this motion? Just some clarity through the chair.
Absolutely. GM Prasad, if you can pop back on, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for that question. So yes, the legislative changes recently have increased the number of units as of right that can be developed. I'm not sure if our zoning bylaws have caught up, and I'd have to see if Anita Fabak is online to provide some more clarity on that aspect. But definitely that legislative change has provided as of right. And I don't know if you, Mr. Chair, if you want to hear from Anita. And I'll have to
Well, I think there's two options.
No,
Thank you for
I'm
that.
fine. I'm fine with
Okay.
that, Chair. Sorry to interrupt
Okay.
you.
Okay,
I
no
do.
problem. I was going to say that there's always the option of following up online, but please proceed with your next question, Councillor Wilson.
Oh, thank you. My apologies. So having said that, I am, it's not a big deal, but I am grappling with our DC exemptions to date are not tethered to servicing calibration, and nor I think are as of right. So I'm just trying to ensure that this is happy to explore, but I'm not sure whether this would make it an exception and or whether you would actually have the information at hand to even do that calibration. So I'm just trying to explore that through the chair without being difficult.
Okay. But I'm not sure how to define that. Was that a question? Well,
It is.
apologies if that seems glib.
It is. I'm just always mindful of expectations. And I'm trying to understand how this particular ask jives with what I thought were both the as of right provisions that this body has passed, the province has enabled, and this would be an ask we have not asked of any other DC exemption, whether it be affordable housing, although that was never our doing. It was something that was designed for us. But I'm just trying to better understand through the chair to GM Prasad and or GM Zagaric. I hope it's as clear as mud, Chair.
Okay, very well. I'll ask GM Prasad to pop back on if he has a response. Otherwise, we can go to GM Zagaric. In that order, please.
Yes, thank you very much again for the question. On this particular one, I think I'll have to ask my friend Jim Zagaric to help with providing an answer.
Thank you. GM Zagaric, please.
Happy to pick up our Vince phone call, calling a friend. So we would report back to Councillor Wilson's question. We would report back if such an exemption aligns with legislation, if it is over and above legislation. In terms of the alignment of the exemption to legislation, or whether it would represent something extraordinary or over and above what legislation requires. And so if legislation permits this and it's not a qualifier as it relates to DC exemptions, we would include that. Again, in an effort to try to be clear, if DC exemptions if the DC exemption would not require any additional infrastructure impacts or anything over and above legislation, we would include that in our report back.
Okay. Councillor Wilson, you still have the floor in a minute.
Okay, I'm not going to belabor this. I just think the ask is outside the domain of that which we're required to do. But I'll leave it there. If the information can be brought back, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. And I believe Councillor Clark is up next. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So how would we assess the financial implications of doing this? My understanding, anytime we exempt development charges, we have to account for it financially with revenue to offset the development charge. So if we cancel out $1 million worth of DCs, we have to take $1 million out of reserves to pay for that exemption. Does that still apply to these exemptions?
I am looking to GM Zagaric to take that question.
Through the chair, it does. We would work with our colleagues in planning to try to estimate or assess where there may be uptake in terms of up to 4 units versus 3. I can share with committee that the city does provide very material financial benefits to development community as it relates to the existing policy in terms of 3 units in 2024 represented approximately $20 million in exemptions, and that increased by 50% in 2025 to $30 million for the period January to November of 2025. So we would work with planning, our colleagues in planning economic development in order to forecast out what the uptake may be and what the financial impacts would be.
Okay, Councillor Clark.
So $30 million, that would represent about a 2% increase in our levy. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
So we need to keep that in mind. How does the city control the number of fourplexes in neighborhoods or on streets? The context of the question is we may be unintentionally creating an entire new sector in the multi-residential development community. And if we're providing these exemptions and encouraging developers to buy up single-family homes and convert them to fourplexes, how do we control how many of them are in a community?
I'm going to guess that that is a question for GM Prasad, if you wouldn't mind popping back on.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. The 3 units are permitted as of right, as you're aware. Zoning controls any additional units. If they want a 4th unit, there's zoning regulations, there's setbacks, there's all kinds of lot coverage issues like that. Those are the controls that are in place. Your zoning bylaw that allows for that.
So we can't prohibit an increase in fourplexes, which some would argue is a good thing because it's the mushy middle. But the reality is what we're seeing is triplexes and fourplexes, the rents are keeping up with the market rents that are being demanded in the community. So it's not really bringing in any attainable rent structure. I'm a little bit concerned about this. So I'm hoping that we can have an estimation based on what we're seeing in triplexes, because this could be a significant financial hit to the levy. This thing could explode. If it's going to be easier for developers to buy a house and build a fourplex than what they're doing elsewhere, they'll do it. And we're going to find ourselves crushed with this. And if we're exempting the DCs, it's going to be a major budget hit. So I'd like to see that in the report.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. I'm going to Councillor Alex Wilson next.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I think it's rare that I say, yeah, let's look at some DC exemptions on this committee. That is not often the position that I'm advocating from, but I really want to thank Councillor Wang for this motion. I think it is in current practice, a really minor scale of we're not getting a lot of fourplex applications, as has been talked about. There's that kind of decision point between triplex, fourplex, where it really does come in this financial factor. And we're predominantly dealing with smaller developers are in the missing middle category, more local, sometimes, owner run, obviously. Wide field in any type of development, but this is actually targeting a sector of the market where we are seeing more local development, more infill. It's incredibly scoped, it's incredibly narrow, I think, in terms of what it's looking at. And then the decisions will come when we do get that financial analysis. And I completely agree with Councillor Clark, and I've said the same thing any other time we've had a DC conversation. I've been talking about that piece. I think that my expectation is that that number is going to be a little bit contained. Obviously, it is a prediction about what's going to happen in the market, but I certainly appreciate this exploration to find out how can we align, I think, our zoning goals and our intensification goals with our development charges, and just making sure that what we're talking about from a policy perspective actually lines up with the price point that we're giving to the development community. And so I think this is one of the rare times that I'm going to say, yeah, let's absolutely look at this and see if there's some potential here. And thanks to Councillor Wang for bringing this forward.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Alex Wilson. I'm just going to turn it over to Vice Chair Spadafora for a quick moment.
Go ahead.
Thank you. And through you, Vice Chair, I just want to echo Councillor Clark's concerns, both from the levy impact, and I'm going to support the motion. I think it's important to get the information to come back and have the fulsome conversation. The levy impact, but also the community impact. We are seeing some disruption that's taking place in some communities, and I think we have to be respectful of the existing communities to a point. I understand the need for intensification. I understand the intent for creating more attainable housing, but in some cases, we are changing the nature and character of some of our communities, and they aren't necessarily designed to absorb that impact in terms of parking, in terms of streetscape, in terms of the built form in those existing communities and how they function. They were never designed for this. And speaking to the comments in terms of the zoning requirements, there's a thing called the Committee of Adjustment. Sometimes variances can be made that allow for things to appear that wouldn't normally in some of the traditional contexts. So I'm putting the oar in the water, as it were, just making my place marker here with some concerns. I look forward to get back a report that maybe spells out a little more carefully for consideration where we may be headed on this, but there are some concerns I think that need to be noted. I'll take the chair back. Vice Chair?
Go ahead, Chair, and I think you have Councillor Alex Wilson for a second time who has indicated.
I do, yes. Please proceed, Councillor Alex Wilson.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I think for whatever reason, this discussion is so different than any other time that we've discussed DC exemptions around this council and committee, and I just want to draw some attention to that fact. When talking about commercial exemptions, members of this committee had attempted to bring up the fact that some of the carcinogens from these commercial entities are literally killing neighbors. And we heard we have to be encouraging development. We have to be encouraging this. It's about supporting the economy. Let's go, let's go, let's go. But now that we're talking about fourplexes, the community impacts seem to be front and center. I think if there is a conversation about fourplex community impacts that needs to be had, it should be had at planning committee. That's the appropriate place to have it. Every other time we talk about community impacts, we say that's a zoning issue, that's a planning issue, have it at planning. We're here to talk about DCs. We're here to do the finances. And as someone who's tried to bring up those community impacts, every other time there's been this DDC discussion, I've been told to go to planning committee. So I'm a bit frustrated about how this conversation's gone. Don't want to take away from the motion in front of us. I'll stop it there. Thank you.
Duly noted. Thank you, Councillor Wilson. I do see Councillor Clark for a second time, please.
Yeah, I appreciate what Councillor Alex Wilson has said. My question was about the financial ramifications and how many of these we can anticipate, which directly relates to the financial implication.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Seeing no further questions or comments from members, this has been duly moved and seconded. Please indicate your vote electronically now. Thank you, committee. That motion carries 9-0. We're moving on now to 9.2, which is support for Help Heal Humanity After School Enrichment Program. This is a motion by Councillor Huang. Please introduce your motion and your seconder.
Thank you, Chair. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Maureen Wilson. This is a this is an interesting program, mostly because it is set up in Ward 4 in my one and only public high school at Sir Winston Churchill. One of the teachers there, who also runs a charity, Help Heal Humanity, is interested in creating an after-school enrichment program specific towards youth that are in a highly marginalized, highly vulnerable sort of area of their community. And it's she's done a lot of work to actually get additional in-kind support from DHL, from a chef Jason Gibbons, and as well working with school administration on ensuring that there is program space available for something like this. We were waiting on a potential additional grant that might come from Hamilton Community Foundation, but unfortunately that didn't come through. So I'm asking committee today for me to allocate several $15,000 from the Ward 4 Capital Discretionary Account, number 3302309400, in an amount not to exceed $15,000. That these funds be allocated and distributed, be exempt on a one-time basis, and not be counted towards a formula that restricts regular funding from the city, including the City Enrichment Fund for 2026, and that Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to ensure and execute any required agreements and ancillary documents with such terms in a form satisfactory to the city solicitor. My hope is that I will get committee's support on this, because I think that 2026 has already started. Thank you.
Okay, and every time I look at the speakers list, an email pops up and covers over the space. Seeing nobody else on the speakers list, thank you for that, Councillor Huang. Quick scan, no additional questions. We will now move to a vote. Please indicate your vote electronically now. And that carries 9-0. Thank you, colleagues. And a quick note just before we adjourn, I want to thank everybody for their patience today. I also want to make note of the time at 12:21. I am not certain we would have made it through in the allotted time, so perhaps it was prudent to proceed with that deferral after all. We shall see everyone on the flip side. Have a great day. No further business. This meeting is adjourned.
Good first chair.
Thank you, Maureen.